Originally, I was gonna do this video entirely unscripted and just make it a quick nothing of an update talking about where the channel's at and where I want to take it, but right around the time I decided I wanted to make this video and started looking back on the past 6 months, a quote from the movie Ratatouille that makes the rounds every year or so serendipitously popped into my Twitter feed. If you've seen the movie, you're probably aware of exactly which quote I'm talking about and are pulling a hard eye roll because it's all people ever talk about when they bring this movie up. But for those like me who haven't, or in my case, hadn't seen it, and don't know what I'm talking about, here's the quote. There are times when a critic truly risks something. That is in the discovery and defense of the new. The world is often unkind to new talent, new creations. The new needs friends. This is the back end of a longer speech detailing the place of a critic in society, but for the purposes of this video, the part I want to focus on is those 3 sentences. First 5 is new. I'm new. Nobody's ever heard of me, and while I've been writing in one form or another for the better part of my entire life, this channel is the first time I've ever presented it to the public consciousness so directly, and the most vulnerable I've ever been to its unvarnished opinion. I think that this quote, overquoted to death or not, speaks to a truth about the world, in which many new things often aren't treated kindly, and life as a creative of any kind is always a hard, frantic scrabble to get yourself noticed and become quote-unquote established. Which makes this channel all the more special that, in my case, the world has been extremely kind to me, and I'm supremely fortunate for it. In the 6 months that I've been working on First 5, I've received almost nothing but positivity and support, both from those who know me personally, and random people on the internet who have noticed and see something in me. In short, the new has friends. When I started this channel, I did it despite being half convinced that it would never go anywhere. That I'd get like 8 views and get bored and give up after a month. But that's not what happened. I've found a whole network of other creators that are insightful, helpful, and just enjoyable people to talk to. I've had my work highlighted by other creators I deeply respect and look to for inspiration in my own writing. And barely a day goes by where I don't get some form of encouragement from you, my subscribers, telling me that you enjoy my content and urging me to keep pushing. Hovering around 300 subscribers is an insignificant speck in the grand scheme of YouTube, but for my own personal world, it is so much more than I ever thought it could be. So thank you. This has already been an amazing ride, and it's not stopping anytime soon. And now that I've gotten the heartfelt poetic stuff out of the way, let's get to the stuff I was originally going to talk about and look to the future. Welcome to the First 5's plan for YouTube domination quest to get 10 million bajillion subs! Right, so what do we have on the horizon? So, easy transition, my current major project I'm working on, which I hope will be the first of a regular series of videos I'm calling the Celebrating Games series, is conveniently going to pay that supportive newness I was just talking about forward. The gist of it is that I'm looking for a genre, trend, or company that's doing something different or cool in video games, and I'm going to talk about why it's weird and cool. It's basically your standard video game video essay in all but name, but instead of looking at a single mechanic, I want to take a look at larger trends and try to connect some dots as to why they're happening and why it's so damn cool that they are. The first one I'm working on right now is going to be about boss rush games, and just talking about how this specific game feature that's been around for decades is in the middle of slowly coalescing into its own genre, complete with its own conventions and patterns. In the future, I know I want to talk about rhythm games and how there's this weird but totally awesome pattern of mashing them up with other genres that's going on. I'd love to do one about Warframe, No Man's Sky, etc., and talking about the weird trend of games starting out terrible and becoming good over time. I'd love to talk about Supergiant, Zachtronics, maybe talk about all the weird rhythm games coming out of Japanese arcades, maybe look at the increasing prevalence of hand-drawn games. The point is, I've got years of half-formed ideas, so hopefully you guys like it enough for me to get through all of them. Quarterly wrap-ups are obviously here to stay. They're a lot of fun to do, I get to highlight a lot of indies that deserve the love, and, judging by the last one that accounted for my best day ever for both traffic and subs, people really like them. So, hey, win-win all around. And if you run into a game sometime this quarter that you're really into that happens to be short, hey, shoot that one at me. Throw it in the comments of a video somewhere, or just throw it at my email. It's at first5reviews@gmail.com. I won't guarantee I'll cover it, but at the very least, I'll give the Steam page a look-see and see if it looks interesting. Between those two things and my weekly reviews, I'm up to my eyeballs in stuff to make, so until whatever blessed day I can make this my full-time job, that's about what you can expect from the channel. And even then, I'm gonna be happy if I could just get one big video out between quarterly wrap-ups. On a related note though, I am doing a sort of quasi-part-time thing. I'm scaling back my actual day job work a bit to give myself more time to work on the channel. I'm not quite leap of faithing off a cliff, hoping a couple 100,000 people show up to financially catch me, but we're gonna try and focus on building this into something that might cover my expenses in the future so I can make more of that almighty capital C content. For now, I'm gonna use that extra time to actually properly learn Photoshop, start tooling around in After Effects, work on the social media presence, see about finding additional ways to pull visitors into the channel, all that boring business side stuff. Speaking of boring business stuff, Steam Curator page. I've got one now. If that sounds cool to you, go check it out. I'll have it linked below. I don't have time to play much outside of what I cover for the channel, so it'll mostly be a rehash of the other games I'm already talking about here, but it's yet another channel for me to recommend great games through, so screw it, here we go. Speaking of more boring business stuff, I'm gonna have some minor rebranding. I'm just gonna be changing visual stuff like the avatar and banner, but I thought I'd mention it so nobody flips out when all of a sudden they get a notification with an avatar they don't recognize. And now that I have a little more time, I'm probably going to try asking for advance review copies of games so I can put them out on the day the game actually launches instead of a week later. So you'll still get weekly reviews, but obviously they're going to land on Tuesdays instead of Mondays more often than not because that's just when games come out. There are probably a few random tiny things I'm forgetting about, but that's pretty much the immediate future. If all goes well, that first Celebration video will be out before the end of the month, so look forward to that, and as always, thanks for listening in. I'll see you all next time.